Right onto the pulpit. Wow. Perfect alignment. It was just amazing. It was still cold and brisk in here. And as soon as we opened the door to the sanctuary, then you could really feel that draft kick in. I kept that closed till maybe 9:30 before we tried opening that. So we are getting great ventilation for those of us who were here today. So I appreciate you keeping your masks on during the service. During coffee hour, you can be a little more casual about it. And I'm going to keep my mask off while I'm speaking. We're going to be singing one song, and I'm going to mask up for that while I'm singing as kind of a modeling, because that's more of the issue with small groups, is vocalizing and singing. And we are a small group today, so sing loud, okay? Morning is Broken by, well, Cat Stevens made it famous. So help us out, Peter, okay? If you know the song. Our prelude this morning is Heliotrope Bouquet by a group out of Portland, Oregon, Pink Martini. We do a wide variety of ethnic music and combination in classical and jazz. And this is strictly an instrumental. There's no vocals on this. But it's a great tune this time of the year with heliotropes, where they have the diurnal motion, where they just track the sun, sunflowers, and it's probably the most famous. And it's a great spiritual metaphor of turning towards sun energy to recharge our spirit and our souls. So this is by Pink Martini. In this moment, notice what your mind is thinking about, and then let it go. And whatever it is that you're thinking of now, let that go. So do you see how this works? Your mind is always thinking of something. In meditation, we don't keep hanging on to the thought or the body sensation. We simply notice it, and then let it go. In letting go, we are creating space for a new thought or a new sensation to arise. In letting go, we allow our own personal aliveness to express itself. So we're going to try this for 45 seconds as our moment centering, silence, a basic meditation technique. Notice the mind, the breath, and the body, and allow it to find its natural pace. Allow silence and spaciousness to arise. The sound of a chime will start us off, and you will hear it again in 45 seconds. Here we go. You may have noticed the noise of passing traffic slowly going by on Military Street. And that is a perfect example of this same meditation that we just did, of the hearing the car approach, or several cars, and then passing along its way. Opening words this morning are for Earth Day. It's a reading by Carl Sagan out of a book or essay titled The Pale Blue Dot. And on your bulletin, you'll notice an image shaped as a globe, and it has part of its reading that I'm going to share in just a moment, that's written in circular motion as it rotates around the globe. The pale blue dot. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was that lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, the inventor and the explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended on a sunbeam. The Milky Way galaxy is one of billions, perhaps hundreds of billions of galaxies, notable neither in mass nor in brightness, nor in how its stars are configured and arrayed. Some modern deep sky photographs show galaxies beyond the Milky Way, more stars than the Milky Way. Every one of them is an island universe containing perhaps 100 billion suns. Such an image is a profound sermon on humility. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. Dale, could I have you light our chalice for us this morning? Match the right on the we light the chalice today in appreciation of this world that we inhabit, this mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. May we cherish it. May we work hard to maintain it. May we find joy in the sharing of it. Our first song this morning is Morning Has Broken, number 38. One of the first times we've sung since COVID. Singing in mass can be challenging, but we're going to try it out today. Morning has broken. Our life is a mixture of sorrow and joy. Joseph Campbell once said that a full spiritual life is the joyful participation in the sorrows of the world. Let us light candles as we continue this journey. I want to light the first candle. This is Earth Day weekend. First Earth Day was back in 1970. This year was on April 22nd, this past Friday. So this morning we hung our Earth flag for today's service, a symbol of the Earth Day weekend. And also lighting a candle for members of our group that are traveling this week, and we're hoping they'll be back next week to join us for the service. So we pray for travel blessings. If there are more candles, I can light them for you here, or you can come down yourself. Pete?
Just one candle for all the gardeners and farmers this year. May we have a good season.
Brenda? Did you?
I would light a candle for a couple of things. One, in memory of our friend John, who passed away. He was very much a part of my life, and I was glad to have him in it. And also for our whole world, I think we're a very sad world. I think we need a lot of prayer and a lot of change.
Well, John Richards was a good friend. He would attend services at the Congregational Church. He would come here on occasion, and at the Quaker meeting here in Holton, and just lived right on the corner, so he was right in our neighborhood. Good.
A candle for another life well lived. Reverend Leanne Betts' spouse of 22 years, passed away suddenly 2 weeks ago, and they didn't know the cause of death, and discovered she had been quite an artist. They found lots of paintings she had done. She was very good, and so prayers for Leanne and for Linda's family.
And I'm going to light this silent candle for any unspoken prayers today, concerns that we carry for our world and for our families. And we'll take just a moment for silence for those of you at home to run down your mental list and create space for healing and a prayer this morning. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected be fulfilled, awakened, and free. May there be peace in this world. May there be peace in our hearts. And may we dwell together as one on this blessed day. Amen and blessed. For our group reading this morning, it's an Earth Day reading, number 530 in your grade book. And this is a reading written by Robert T. Weston, appropriate for Earth Day, titled Out of the Stars. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come. Stardust, sunlight, mingling through time and through space.
Out of the stars have we come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come.
Time out of time, before time, in vastness of space, Earth spun to orbit the sun. Earth with thunder of mountains and born, the boiling of the seas.
Earth warmed by sun, lit by sunlight, this is our home. Out of the stars have we come.
Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time, mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea.
Out of the stars, rising from rocks in the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life.
Ponder this thing in your heart, and ponder it with awe. Out of the sea to the land, out of the shallows came ferns.
Out of the sea to the land, up from darkness to light, rising to walk and to fly, out of the sea trembled life.
Ponder this thing in your heart, life up from sea. Eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love.
Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain, life from within, giving birth, rose to love.
This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth. Life upon earth rose to love.
This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart, cry wonders, sing that we live.
It was about this time of year, the end of April, when out in Chicago, a bunch of household appliance salesmen went to the funeral of another salesman whose name was George. They looked down at him in the coffin, and one of them said, "Gosh, George looks terrible. What did he have? North Dakota, South Dakota, western Minnesota. Well, it's been over 50 years now since the first Earth Day in April of 1970. And while some things have certainly improved, water quality of our lakes, rivers, and ponds, air quality, restoration of the ozone layer, and increased awareness around environmental sustainability, yet there still remains work to be done. Like the salesman in the joke, sometimes it looks like the planet is in terrible shape, but we keep moving forward with our best efforts, hoping it's not a terminal case. This pale blue dot is the only home we have, and it's up to us to keep it a nice place to live for the years to come. In 2008, His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote a book called The Universe in a Single Atom, The Convergence of Science and Spirituality. This was on sale at Martin's shortly thereafter for, I think, under $2.50. And I think half of the members of our UU Holton group purchased a copy. You'll find several of those copies in our lending library here at the church. Here's a short reading from the book. The Earth is our only home. As far as current scientific knowledge is concerned, this may be the only planet that can support life. One of the most powerful visions I have experienced was the first photograph of the Earth from outer space. The image of a blue planet floating in deep space, glowing like the full moon on a clear night, brought home powerfully to me the recognition that we are indeed all members of a single family sharing this little dwelling. I was flooded with the feeling of how ridiculous are the various disagreements and squabbles with the human family. I saw how futile it is to cling so tenaciously to differences that divide us. From this perspective, one feels the fragility, the vulnerability of our planet and its limited occupation of a small orbit sandwiched between Venus and Mars in the vast infinity of space. If we do not look after this home, what else are we charged to do here on this earth? Since then, scientists have found more than 5,000 exoplanets, planets that are not located within our solar system but rotate around other distant stars. But planets that have conditions suitable to sustain life or are located in the Goldilocks zone are still few and far between, and they are very, very far away. Our best bet with current technology and spaceflight capabilities and limitations is to take good care of this planet for now and into the near future. The photograph that the Dalai Lama is referring to is the iconic Earthrise photo taken during the Apollo 8 space mission in 1968. And you'll find a small version of the image in today's service bulletin. Joseph Campbell once said that this Earthrise image, along with the Earth flag that we have hanging on the wall behind me, might well serve as two of the next great mythological symbols that brings humanity together in recognition of our shared destiny. I came across an article in the Smithsonian magazine that came out in January 2018. This was written by Andrew Chalkin. And here's a small excerpt from that article. It's arguably the most iconic photograph of the 20th century. The Earth rising above the moon's bleached and desolate horizon. A breathtaking jewel of color and life more than 230,000 miles away, 100,000 miles away. In December 1968, Apollo 8 astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders returned from history's first voyage around the moon with this stunning image. In the following weeks, on newspaper front pages and magazine covers around the world, we suddenly saw ourselves as inhabitants of a lovely and seemingly tranquil planet afloat in the endless void of space. In today's visually bombarded world, it's hard to imagine the immediate global impact of that single image. The picture that came to be known as Earthrise offered a precious moment of transcendence after a violent year of turmoil in 1968. The following year, it was made into a U.S. postage stamp, and it adorned the cover of the first Whole Earth catalog. Walter Cronkite used it as a backdrop on the CBS Evening News, if you remember that. Wilderness photographer Galen Roll called it the most influential environmental photograph ever taken. And it's no accident that 16 months after we saw ourselves from the moon, the first Earth Day took place. According to the article, they hadn't even planned on taking an Earthrise photo. Bill Anders, the astronaut responsible for photographic documentation, had a long list of required shots by NASA and limited film. But Earthrise was not one of them. Bill just happened to be looking out the small window on his side of the capsule when he saw it. He took one shot in black and white, asked Lovell, sitting next to him, for some color film, and shot the next two in color. One of them, the most famous Earthrise shot. That was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, said Anders. Totally unanticipated, because we were being trained to go to the moon. It wasn't going to the moon and looking back at the Earth. I've never even thought about that. In lunar orbit, it occurred to me that here we are, all the way up here to the moon, and we're studying this thing. And it's really the Earth as seen from the moon that's the most interesting aspect of this flight. That's what people are going to want to see. On this 52nd observation of Earth Day on this planet, we are in a precarious place on two counts. One, in danger of blowing it up, and two, in danger of heating it up. While the war in Ukraine is horrific in many ways, the possibility of it leading to a nuclear incident is the gravest concern. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War in 1989, the prospect of a nuclear war seems to have diminished, yet there are still enough nuclear weapons in place, secure or not, to destroy the world many times over. It's only now, with open conflict in Ukraine, that we are once again aware of the dangerous position the world has been in and still is. And secondly, if that wasn't enough, we're in danger of heating it up. With global heating and the consumption of fossil fuels, we are already in the process of altering the delicate balance of our planetary systems and endangering life as we have known it. The acceleration of climatic changes is startling, causing scientists to rework projection models again and again. We cannot move to alternative renewable energy systems and transportation soon enough, yet the pace continues to drag. Perhaps we are a crisis-induced species that requires dire circumstances before we make a change. But approaching our current challenges in this manner is a messy and inefficient way to do it, and simply extends and prolongs the suffering. On this Earth Day, I propose that the good citizens of this planet, each of us here and those spread across this amazing global ball, that we unite in common cause, with shared resources and expanded vision, and advance the great potential of our planetary home. It is a challenge as large as any NASA mission. It is strategically vital to the future of our existence. It is a shared destiny of us all. In closing, I would like to return to the words of Carl Sagan and his charge to us in The Pale Blue Dot. Once upon a time, we soared into the solar system for a few years, then we hurried back. Why? What happened? What was Apollo really all about? Whatever the reason we first mustered the Apollo program, however mired it was in Cold War nationalism and the instruments of death, the inescapable recognition of the unity and fragility of the Earth is its clear and luminous dividend, the unexpected final gift of the Apollo program. What began in deadly competition has helped us to see that global cooperation is the essential precondition for our survival. There's plenty of housework to be done here on Earth, and our commitment to it must be steadfast. But we're the kind of species that needs a frontier. For fundamental biological reasons, every time humanity stretches itself and turns a new corner, it receives a jolt of productive vitality that can carry it forward for centuries. Travel itself is broadening. I think it's time to hit the road again. And where, I ask you, where does that lead? The words of Carl Sagan on this Earth Day. So on this Earth Day weekend, I ask you to do one thing. Walk outside a moment, or better yet, take a walk, and at some point, bend down and slowly, simply touch the earth. Touch the earth with reverence, appreciation. Feel your hand connect to the ground. Feel your connection to the earth and pause, if just for a moment. In that pause is the present, as well as the past and the future of our planet. Say a prayer or say nothing at all, but on this beautiful rotating rock in space is our home and place in this day. Earth Day for all of us and each of us. And now may peace abide with each of us today and reside within us, as if we were at home in this world and in our body, natural and free. The timelessness of this instant flashing and insight that each of us already know, only to forget 1,000 times, but on the inside we still know. We are a part of it, and it is a part of us. We are everything we need to be.